Welcome to another episode of I Speak African. I'm your host Yanu. In today's episode, I'm going to mainly talk about the new administration and how it's affecting Americans. But also what I want to talk about is how the transition between the Biden administration and Trump administration has changed the politics of Black people as a whole, but also Black news anchors and news personalities and commentators. So between 2015 and 2025, 10 years, these are all the Black news anchors or news personalities who have been fired. Don Lemon, Joy Reid, Tiffany Cross, Melissa Harris Perry, Joy Reid, Lester Holt, Tamron Hall, Angela Rye, and I don't know if Al Sharpton still has this show. There's some other Black guy, he comes on the morning show, I forgot his name, Jonathan something, I don't know if he's still there. Michael Steele and what's her name? Simone Sanders have a show with I think she's white or Hispanic. I don't, that show's on MSNBC, I think it's still going on, but I always say, why don't these Black people just create their own Black news network? And I say the same exact thing about the NFL and the NBA. We have all these Black multimillionaires, but they won't put their money together. They won't put their capital together and make their own NBA, make their own NFL. And in this regard or this situation, all those people I just named, a lot of them, like Lester Holt, I think his salary was like $8 million a year. All these people they're pretty rich. Some are richer than others. Put your money together and make your own Black news network. But the problem is, a lot of these Black news people, they're bougie. They're from the bourgeoisie class, or they want to be a part of the bourgeoisie class, and they don't want to be really associated with Black people. They don't want to do Black news or be a Black network, and that's their business, and that's why they're able to just be fired like that. Because I knew once, I was like, if Trump wins, Joy Reid is losing her job, because MSNBC is not going to need Joy Reid anymore if Biden or a Biden affiliate is not the president. Now, if Harris would have won, they would have kept her on, but they probably would have eventually fired her when her contract ended, because I think her contract, right before she got fired, right before Trump became the president, I think her contract was renewed for like six more years or something like that. So what that means is they fired her and just paid her out. But I knew they were gonna. I was like, if Trump wins, they're gonna fire Joy Reid, because they don't need her. Like, they have Rachel Maddow, they have all these other, news personalities who just do over the top, not even news, but over the top, just like talking. They don't need Joy Reid. But yeah, now I'm gonna segue to the issues that are going on between Jess Hilarious and Lauren LaRosa of the Breakfast Club. Now, for those who do not know, Jess Hilarious was the third host who was brought in or hired after the Breakfast Club parted ways with Angela Yee. Now, when Angela Yee left, they were looking for a whole bunch of replacements. They were having Jess Hilarious, they were having I forgot his name, the guy from, I think he's Hispanic, from Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta. They had him on a couple of shows. I knew they were going to pick him. They had a couple of other guest hosts. And I think even at one time, Lauren LaRosa was the guest host, the third guest host. But then they eventually went with Jess Hilarious. Now, they hired Jess Hilarious on February the 4th of 2024. Now, the Breakfast Club was talking about, I posted on the channel actually a short about this little boy who was a cancer, I think he had brain cancer, he was a survivor named, he went by DJ Daniels, and they were making fun of him, and a lot of people didn't like that. Like, they were saying his hair was nappy, all this stuff. I'm thinking like, yo, he survived cancer. Did you survive cancer? No, you didn't. But they were making fun of him, and they were also making fun of the idea that Trump made him an honorary Secret Service agent, which this boy wanted to be a police officer. So that's a police officer of a higher degree. Now, I'm gonna say this right now. Just Hilarious I think she'll be fired and replaced, maybe with Lauren, but not now. Maybe sometime later, because the way the media looks at this is probably that Lauren is a much better third host than Just Hilarious. Like, Lauren is much more articulate. She gives the news better, you know. And people make jokes about Just Hilarious. She can't read. I don't know. I don't watch the Breakfast Club enough to know whether or not she can really read. But I mean, maybe she can. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, Lauren is much more professional, much more experienced, and I think that's what they're. And she also, a lot of the people who watch the show, who listen, who tune into the show, they like Lauren. So, was it last week, I think, Jess went on Instagram and she started just airing out the dirty laundry about what's happening in the Breakfast Club. And, you know, she was saying how she's not mad at Lauren, she's mad at, like, I guess Charlamagne and DJ Envy for not, like, taking her side and everything, or not for having her back. I'm thinking, like, just because y'all work together doesn't mean you're all friends. And if you can tell, like, based off of what I've seen, like, I'm not a, religious watcher of the Breakfast Club, but I know enough about it. Back when Angela Yee was on the Breakfast Club, you could tell, like, Charlamagne and Envy didn't really like her like that. Like, me personally, I think Charlamagne and Envy, they might be friends in real life, or they might hang out sometimes. But as you all know, Charlamagne, you can tell he's the face of the Breakfast Club. Like, he has the Breakfast Club, he has that, I don't know if he still does that show on Comedy Central where he talks, like, makes jokes about politics. I don't know if he still does that, but he has other platforms, other avenues. I think he even has his own, like, little network. But yeah, he's the face, so they're not getting rid of Charlamagne. Envy, they're not gonna get rid of him either. But, like, the third person, whoever that may be, they don't mind getting rid of that person. And Just Hilarious, she just, like, people aren't tuning into the Breakfast Club to hear just Hilarious. They're really not. But then she's talking about how she don't really need the Breakfast Club. She makes more when she goes on tour and all this stuff. I'm thinking, like, this is not helping your case. This is not looking good for you. Like, you're pretty much saying you don't need them. They can fire you if they want, you know. And one thing I do know is employment law. Now, Just Hilarious went on maternity leave. When you go on maternity leave, you file for what is called FMLA, which is Family Medical Leave Act. That's federal. But there are stipulations. You have to either work 1 full year or 1,250 hours to be eligible for FMLA. Now, she did not have that. She did not meet those two criteria. Meaning, they could have fired her if they wanted to. Like, they could have fired her. Sure, she would have probably went on Instagram or whatever and made noise, but they could have legally fired her if they wanted to because she didn't meet the criteria for FMLA. But they kept her on. And, like, Jess is getting mad at them, but it's like, you decided to get pregnant. Like, they didn't force you. No one forced you to get pregnant. She even said it in her IG. She was like, yeah, I wanted to have another child. And now she's complaining about her career and saying, like, oh, how they kept on Lauren. Yeah, because Lauren brings in a lot of people, you know? So after hearing that, I'm thinking, like, no, Jess, like, you need to, take responsibility for your actions. Now, in that same episode, Felicia Rashad came on, and Charlamagne asked her about what did she think about how women in Hollywood are dressing, and she was like, you don't even have to go as far as Hollywood. You can talk about our college campuses. And she was like, the young women are wearing strips of clothing. And she prefaced it by saying that they're queens and complimenting women, but they still, like, on whatever platform, they still just insulted Felicia Rashad. And I didn't read the comments, but I heard that people were insulting her. But I'm thinking, like, she's speaking the truth though. Like, even Just Hilarious was like, yeah, when I want to go out, I wear some skimpy clothes. I'm thinking, like, and Felicia Rashad's whole point is, you can still be beautiful and sexy and not, like, look like you're a prostitute or whatever. Like, you don't have to be dressing crazy just to be beautiful or sexy. If you want a guy's attention, you don't have to be dressing crazy to get his attention. If you're a beautiful woman or a pretty woman, you're gonna get a guy's attention. So they started coming out, just screaming at her, which I thought was crazy because she's one of our elders and she's also very classy. And like, she's also, is she still at Howard? I can't remember. Did she resign from Howard? I can't remember, but I don't know. But I always liked Felicia Rashad. So another story is that's like gone viral is this whole thing with Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James. Now, Stephen A. Smith just signed a $100 million deal with ESPN for an extension of, I think, was it 5 years? Is it 5 or 6? 5 years, and it's an extension deal. So, Stephen A. Smith, you know how he is. Stephen A. Smith is just a puppet for the non-melanated, or the melanated deficient people. That's all he is. Like, they want him to say something that they can't say. They'll be like, Stephen A. Smith, say this person is a coon or a monkey. Stephen A. Smith will say it. So Stephen A. Smith has never had never had a positive relationship with LeBron James. And I think, from what I gathered, LeBron James has ignored because LeBron James has been in the league since he was 17, 18. So he's been just ignoring it this whole entire time. But then Stephen A. Smith decides that he wants to go after Bronny Jr. or Bronny. Now, that's his son. Why are you talking about a man's son? So LeBron James, after the game, I forgot who they were playing, after the Lakers game, LeBron James got in Stephen A. Smith's face and was screaming at him. And to try to save face, Stephen A. Smith came out I think a few days later or something like that, and was like, if LeBron James had gotten physical, I would have swung on him. I'm thinking yo, shut up. And everyone, I'm so glad everyone was making fun of him. All these comedians were making fun of him. Because LeBron James is 6'7", probably about 260, 265, and you're gonna swing on LeBron James. Really? I'm thinking, swing on LeBron James. See how well that goes. But he was saying if LeBron James had gotten physical, he would have swung on her. I'm thinking, no, you wouldn't. But Stephen A. Smith, he will do anything for some money, as you can tell, And I was never a big fan of Stephen A. Smith. I didn't know who he was until, a lot of these people, I don't really watch TV like that. So a lot of these people, I don't really pay attention. I don't even know who they were. I remember back in the day when, Gordon Ramsay. I remember one time this one girl, I was in school, and this one girl was like, do you know who Gordon Ramsay is? And I was like, who's that? And she was like, he's the chef that's always screaming at people. And I was like, no, I don't know who that is. And I actually had to look up Gordon Ramsay. And I remember one time somebody was like, you know who Stephen A. Smith is? And I was like, no, who's that? And they were like, oh. So then I looked them up. But like I said, Stephen A. Smith, he's just a mouthpiece for these people, and he just wants money. They're all the same. That's the problem. When you worship money, you turn yourself into a mouthpiece, because all you care about is making money. You don't have no integrity. You don't care about nothing else. You just care about money. And Stephen A. Smith is already rich. How richer do you want to get? That's the problem. So many people are greedy. They're addicted to money. You're already a multimillionaire. How much richer do you actually want to get? And what are you going to do with that? Yeah. So another story I wanted to speak on is this altercation between these two high school track runners. Now, I used to run track as a kid. And I used to run, I ran everything but long distance. So I was a sprinter. And I used to run relay too. And I've never seen somebody hit somebody in the back of the head with a relay baton. Now, high school track is more competitive than the track I was running, because I wasn't yet in high school when I ran track, but I still never seen it, and I never seen it in high school track or even college track, because I knew some of the college track runners. I never heard any stories or seen any stories about people hitting people in the head with batons because a baton gets locked up in somebody's arm, and then when you have to pull it out, you hit them in the head. Now, the one girl who hit the other girl, people are I think they're sending her death threats and harassing her online, and she's crying all over the place. And this girl's saying how she's, such a benevolent girl. I don't know this girl. I don't know either the girl. All I know is what I saw. And I saw one girl, cock the baton back like she's gonna throw it and hit the other girl in the head. That's what I saw. I saw it both in regular motion and also in slow motion. Now, you have a whole bunch of experts now who are suddenly track experts, and they're saying it happens all the time. I'm like, okay. So, back to this girl's story. If this happens, this girl also said it happens too. If this happens and you're such a nice person, the moment you hit that other girl in the head with that baton, why didn't you go to her side? If I would have accidentally hit another person, another human, in the head with a baton, and it was not on purpose, it was on accident, like she said, my next thing would have been to rush to their side, to hold them up, and be like, "Are you okay?" And then wave down like whoever is, whatever medical response team or paramedics are there. That's my first thing. But this girl kept running, so it's like people are gonna see that it's all being recorded. So if people see that, they're gonna think, yeah, you did it on purpose. It was deliberate. So that's what I don't get. I don't get why the girl didn't stop for the other girl to see if she's okay. Like, her team already has a person down. So you're going to just keep running and maybe win? It's not, if you're such a good person, winning is not everything. But that girl's life is. And some people are saying she cracked the girl's skull. I don't know how true that is. Again. But I wish that, had that been me, I would have go checked on the other person if I hit them. Even, especially being that it was an accident. I don't know why she didn't. But another thing I wanted to talk about is these two brothers, twin brothers, who are from Georgia. They were found unalived at the summit of a mountain. Now, this mountain is called, what is it called? It's not in Atlanta. It's called, there we go. Sorry. So these two brothers, they're twin black. I think they were 17 years old. They're from Georgia. Their names are Kadir Malik Lewis and Nazir Rahim Lewis. And they were both found unalive this month in March when their bodies were found by a hiker at the summit of Bell Mountain. I don't know where Bell Mountain is. It's in Georgia. So far, all they have is a 42-year-old man who was by the name of Scott Curlin. And the reason why they arrested him is because he decided that their bodies were a joke. He wanted to take pictures of their body like there's some kind of attraction, and post them and send them to his friends. So that's why he was arrested. And I'm glad he was arrested. If the parents can sue that guy, I hope they do, because why are you taking pictures of my children's bodies that are no longer alive? So he took the picture of their bodies and he decided to share them with his friends instead of calling the police and also the paramedics. Now the twins had booked a 7 a.m. flight to Boston for March 7th, but they never made their flight, and now we know why. But one of the saddest things is that this did not make national news, which it should have, because I watch American national news, and I didn't hear. I think maybe it made it I don't think it made national news. It probably did, but not like primetime national news, which I think is crazy, because this is, this is a homicide. So why didn't it make national news? And it's not just one person. It's two people. So it's like, it just shows you how much, the lack of empathy and care that the country has for black people, especially black children, like black people as a general, whether they're children or grown people. But lastly, I want to speak about DEI and all these people, who are not black, who are crashing out over it. It's crazy, All these people, they voted for Donald Trump, even though he said, when I get in, I'm going to cancel all DEI programs. They're all going away. They still voted for him. And now they're complaining, screaming at the top of their lungs, talking about their federal jobs are gone. Their university stipends or they can't get into university because it's associated with DEI. I'm thinking, well, you guys voted for him. I mean, one person even said, like, yeah, I voted for him. Now I regret it. I'm thinking, it's your people's fault that don't read up what DEI is actually for. The fact that so many people to this day think that affirmative action, because affirmative action has been, they did away with affirmative action. But you have so many people who believe that affirmative action best helps black people. It does not. For those who don't know, affirmative action was most beneficial to white women, because when the Civil Rights Act of 1965 was passed, it was decided that white women were going to be a disenfranchised group. They were going to be a group that was considered what's the word? Not a disability, but they were going to be considered a disenfranchised group. So that's why DEI and affirmative action benefited white women the most. So a lot of these white women are the ones screaming and talking about how they lost their jobs. I'm thinking, well, yeah, you voted for Trump. Trump said this way before he was going to get into office. I'm going to cancel all DEI, and you still voted for him. Trump even said, Elon Musk is going to be a part of my White House. But again, so many people thought that Donald Trump is just going to be like, I'm going to target black people and Hispanic people, which he is targeting Hispanic people. But what he's mainly targeting is people who aren't rich, because the majority of Americans aren't rich people. They're poor people in below middle into like middle class people, blue collar people. That's what America is made up of. And those are the people who are going to be doing DEI, like having DEI jobs. Now, this one woman, I saw this one woman from Nebraska, and she was saying how, and it's crazy how she admitted to committing a crime in her social media posts. She was like, she's a farmer. She was like, me and a whole bunch of other farmers, we're suffering out here because we hired a whole bunch of illegal immigrants, mostly, Mexicans and Central Americans and South Americans. And now they're afraid to come to work because they think that ICE is going to come and get them. I'm thinking, that's crazy how you can just openly admit to committing a crime, but you're not going to get in trouble for it because you know that the authorities aren't going to get you in trouble for it. So I'm thinking, well, the problem is not that you can't hire anyone. The problem is that you're not looking, the people who you can hire don't want to do the work. That's a fundamental problem with Americans depending on the labor of illegal immigrants, because people want to be cheap and they want to pay illegal immigrants unfair wages. And then when they don't show up to work, then you start panicking and crying and saying, I can't afford to maintain my farm or my poultry plant or my meat packing plant. No, what you need to do is you need to hire Americans and give them a fair wage. And of course, these white people in Nebraska, they can't hire. I mean, they can put out they can go on Indeed or whatever, or ZipRecruiter, and they can put out a position, but if you're not paying people a fair wage, you're not going to take it. Like, you can't, other white people aren't going to take some scraps, and black people aren't going to take scraps either. So if you want to put out that you're looking to hire people to work on your farm, you need to give them a fair wage. Now, this whole thing is happening with Tesla. Elon Musk is, I find him to be, he makes me laugh, but also because he's so arrogant and he's such a narcissist. Like, you thought, because, like, I remember when Elon Musk was really started to get big. I don't know if you guys remember, but he was in Iron Man 2, and Tony Stark made a joke, and the joke was, Elon, if I'm ever in space, I'll give you a call. It was a small, short role. It's like right before Tony Stark is going to race, like do the whole car race, and before Whiplash comes out and destroys his car and they start fighting. So that's when Elon Musk started to get big. I remember when people were putting on down payments on that Tesla models, and I was thinking, that's what's wrong with people. People always want to be, they always give into a fad. You're buying these electric cars when America does not have the proper grid for electric cars yet. You're buying these electric cars that you have not done proper research about, and there's not even enough reliable research about these cars yet, because they're just now coming out. Tesla has only been out for about a good maybe 10, 11 years. And now people are finding out all these issues. The lithium batteries are freezing when it gets too cold. The Cybertruck can't float in the water, as they said. The cars are stalling, all these things. And now, because of everything that Musk is doing with Doge, now people are, I don't want to buy my Tesla. They're pretending like their Teslas are Toyotas or Hondas. I'm thinking, why'd you guys buy those cars in the first place? Why not stick to either American brands or Toyota or Honda or Hyundai or whatever people bought before Tesla? Like, people gave Elon Musk the power to behave the way he's behaving, and now they're upset with him. It's like, you guys gave him the power. Before this, he was just, and I find it, I find it funny how, or even ironic that now we live in a time now where all the nerds are the ones running the country or the planet. If you think about it, there was a time when it was like the jocks or whatever, they ran the country or whatever, or they ran, whatever it was. Now it's the nerds. Like, it's Musk, it's Bezos, and it's Zuckerberg, Facebook, Tesla, and Amazon. Those three guys, and then you have these other people, and now women are running after them instead of running. I think it's just very funny. But anyway, all I have to say is it's gonna be a very interesting 4 years. I'm gonna continue just watching what happens and keep you guys entertained, keep you guys in the loop. But I want to say thank you for listening to another episode. I know it's been a while since I posted an episode. I've been pretty busy. I want to thank you guys for listening to my podcast and supporting me. I encourage all y'all to ask questions and help me improve my channel. I can be reached at iSpeakAfrican12@gmail.com. I have a Facebook and IG. Those links are also on my on the YouTube channel within the description. And these same episodes can be downloaded on Spotify. Thank you and stay blessed, everyone.